Here's our current structure. We have this library class that is dependent on the ebook class. Now, the problem we have here is that creating these ebook objects is costly. Every time we create an ebook object, we have to read the ebook file from the disk and load it into the memory. To solve this problem, we need to come up with a structure like this. So our library class should talk to this ebook proxy, which should talk to this ebook class. So this proxy class acts as a proxy or an agent and sits between the library and the ebook classes. So in this class, we can write code and create this ebook object on demand, only when we need to show it. This is what we call lazy initialization or lazy loading. It's a technique that is used in a lot of frameworks. For example, your persistence framework, like Hibernate or Entity Framework, uses this technique to load objects from the database on demand, only when you need to work with those objects. So let's see how we can come up with a structure like this. We need to introduce a new interface called ebook. And here we're going to have all the operations that we need in an ebook class. Then we're going to provide two different implementations of this interface. We're going to have this real ebook, which looks exactly like our ebook class in the last video. So this is where we're going to get the file name in the constructor and read the ebook file from the disk and load it into the memory. We're also going to create this ebook proxy. In this class, we're going to have a private field of type real ebook. But here's the catch. We're not going to initialize that field ahead of time. So we're going to declare that field, and initially it's going to be null. Now, in our show method, we're going to have code like this. If ebook, that is our private field of type real ebook. So if this ebook object is null, then we're going to create it. This is where we're going to read the ebook file from the disk. Now, after this, we're going to call ebook.show. So with this structure, we're going to load this ebook only when we need to show it, not ahead of time. So when our application launches, we're not going to load tens or hundreds of ebooks. We're only going to list them, and we get this information from our database. When the user tries to open an ebook, this is the moment when we read the ebook file from the disk and load it into the memory. Now, our library class should be dependent on this ebook interface, so we can give it different implementations of this interface. This is how we can confirm to the open-close principle. So today we're providing this ebook proxy, which gives us lazy initialization. Tomorrow we can provide a different proxy implementation that performs some kind of authorization. For example, if you rent ebooks, this class is going to check the rental period, and if it's expired, it's going to prevent us from accessing that ebook. We can also create another proxy implementation that performs logging. So every time we open an ebook, this class is going to log that operation somewhere. So this is what we call the proxy pattern. It's a very powerful pattern and is used in a lot of applications and frameworks. Here's the classic structure of this pattern in the Django for book. So we have this client class that is dependent on this subject interface. So the client is like our library and the subject is like our ebook. Here we have two different implementations of the subject. We have a real subject and a proxy. In this proxy class, we maintain a reference to this real subject. And in this request method, we simply forward this operation to the real subject. So we call real subject.request. This is the classic structure of this pattern. In our implementation, we had some code before calling the ebook.show method because we wanted to have lazy initialization, but that is not necessary as part of this pattern. The whole point of this pattern is that this proxy is an object that looks like a real subject because both these classes implement the same interface. But in this proxy, we're basically forwarding this operation to the real subject. That is the essence of the proxy or the proxy pattern. Now, in this method, we can perform different kinds of tasks. For example, we can perform logging, we can perform authorization, we can do lazy initialization, and so on. That is entirely up to us and is dependent on the kind of problem we're trying to solve. So this is the proxy pattern. Next, I'm going to show you how to implement this pattern in code.